What's up guys, Nicolas Bueno here talking hoops on Bonfire Sports. I'm a Toronto-based comedian and I used to work for TSN Radio back in the day. I'm actually going to be going on tour doing stand-up for a little bit over a month in America, so my background's about to look a little bit different in the next couple of weeks. Today's video is 3 predictions for the upcoming Raptors season, but before we get into it, make sure you subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, check out our social media in the description below. It makes a massive difference. Now let's get into it. Prediction number 1, the Raptors will be the toughest trap game in the NBA. Now, since the Raptors missed the playoffs last year, they got some injuries right out of the gate with Siakam and Boucher missing a significant amount of time, and they did lose Lowry in the offseason. It'll be really easy for playoff hopefuls and contenders to look at the Raptors on their calendar and think, yeah, that's an easy win. Outside of the Warriors and the Bulls, out of every team that missed the playoffs last season, I think the Raptors will be the most annoying for teams to knock off easily. With the amount of size, length, and defensive talent the Raptors have, they're far from an easy out. Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby are incredible defenders. Gary Trent can get hot in an instant, and Siakam is now coming off a season in which a lot of people doubted him, and he's got to prove himself again as a top-tier player in the NBA. Factor in the energy from guys like Scotty Barnes, Precious Achiuwa, and Chris Boucher, and the Raptors have real depth that will serve them in a huge way in the regular season. A trip up north is not a guaranteed win by any means. Prediction number 2, the Raptors will not have a top 10 defense or a top 15 offense. Now, Raptors fans, put your pitchforks away just for a second and hear me out. Siakam is missing significant time to start the season. Chris Boucher also did not play in the preseason, so he will need to be worked back into rotation. And the Raptors do have a lot of young guys, which means growing pains. Scotty Barnes, as much as I think he will be a star in this league eventually, needs to learn when to reel it in and when to go full bore. In the preseason, he really had a fouling problem, and I think that will continue to persist until he learns how to play at an NBA level defensively. Gary Trent Jr. is very susceptible to being lost on defense at times, and Precious Achiuwa also has similar issues to Scotty Barnes in learning when to dial it in. Also, the Raptors have no real answer for bigs like Embiid or Jokic currently, and I do think that will hurt them when they play teams like the 76ers, the Nuggets, or even the Lakers, who have a bigger lineup than most teams. They'll figure it out, but maybe that's an end of the year next season thing, not a right now when they're still trying to figure out their rotation thing. Offensively, the Raptors' safety net is gone. Kyle Lowry went to South Beach, and we're finally going to see a season that features Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, and Pascal Siakam without a proven guy around them in order to make life easier. We still also don't know if Goran Dragic is going to be in Toronto at the end of the year. And again, a lot of young guys who are unproven. The Raptors are going to try to find places for them to excel and try to find out which areas of their game they can expand during the season. Nick Nurse loves to experiment, which might really get painful in the short term, and this kind of leads to my third prediction. Prediction number 3, the Raptors will lose the battle, but they'll win the war. This is a season about growth. Injuries, young guys, the Dragic situation, maybe uncertainty about who plays 2 long term, mean that the Raptors are going to try a bunch of new things this year, and that does mean they will drop close games or lose games that they probably should have won. However, the most important thing is that they're growing, learning, and figuring it out. We saw aspects of this in the 2016-17 season. Remember when Raptors fans were freaking out about the power forward position because Pascal Siakam was starting and Patrick Patterson was allergic to starting? Yeah, those reps that Siakam got ultimately helped him build a foundation to become the player he is now. Similar situation with Anunoby in 2018. He was thrust into the starting 3 position because Norman Powell wasn't getting it done as a small forward. And if you look at the contributions from guys like DeLon Wright, Fred VanVleet, Siakam, and Poeltl on the bench, it helped them grow as players and ultimately become meaningful pieces that were either flipped for better players or, in VanVleet and Siakam's cases, borderline all-stars. This season will have a lot of those components, except the Raptors won't have a good enough roster around them in order to be a top 3 seed in the East like 2017 or 2018. That being said, the super freakishly long and athletic, switch everything on defense, everybody can create for themselves and others, I think can be a viable winning strategy in the NBA long term, and the Raptors are in year 1 of that experiment. I don't think it'll be long before Raptors fans start talking about things like playoffs and potentially contending rather than hoping for a play-in spot and will we make the playoffs this year. If you guys like this video, leave it a like, drop a comment, subscribe. It really does help so much. Throw us a follow on social media in the description below. And of course, have a wonderful day. Thanks, guys.